What's up everybody, Abe here, and today we're going to install the oil pump, and we're going to put the crank on the engine as well. Kind of feels good to finally take the tarp off the engine because it's been a while, man. So again, it feels good to start putting it together and watching all my hard work and time start to pay off. So I'm going to show you some of the tools I'm going to be using. I'm going to go over the torque specs for the oil pump and for the crank pulley bolt. And yeah, so just stay tuned. Alrighty, so first thing you want to do with the oil pump is add some RTV silicone or whatever, Honda Bond, whichever you get your hands on. And you kind of want to beat it around the mating surface of the oil pump, and then you're going to stick it onto the block and torque it down. Just be cautious to, put this on, as soon as you can. If you wait 5 minutes, that's, a little bit too long. This thing starts to harden pretty quick. So I'm going to start putting this onto the block now. Now I'm going to start threading in my bolts. These two longer bolts are 12 millimeters. And I'm just going to start threading these in. Alright, so up here you'll start to see that the silicone is going to start to seep through. What you're going to want to do is take your finger and just kind of smoothen it out, specifically on this surface here, because this is where your oil pan gasket is going to go. And you don't want this to be all uneven, because then your oil pan gasket might not seal properly. Okay, we're going to go over torque specs here real quick. The 12 millimeter bolts, which there's two, these are going to be 17 foot-pounds, and the 10 millimeters bolts, those are going to be 97 inch-pounds. All right, inch-pounds, so there's a big difference. All right, so I'm going to start by tightening up the 10 mils real quick. Good. 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 I got my bigger torque wrench here, and these again are 17. Alright, now that we got everything torqued down here on the oil pump, we're going to start putting on the crank pulley. So if you guys remember in my previous video, I was unable to get this little sprocket out of here on my other motor. So I just went ahead and bought a new one, or bought a used one off somebody. It was only a few bucks. It was worth it versus getting the other one off, because that was a pain in the you-know-what. So I'm just going to go ahead and slide this on. There's a little key that goes in here. If you can see that little gap, you have to put that in there so when it slides on, it lines up properly for timing purposes. You don't want your engine to be, off timed or whatever. So if you guys can see that, here's a little key. Goes in that little notch right there, right in here. Alright, you can see I just slid it in real quick. And then on here, you can't really see it from this angle, I don't know if you can, but the little notch on the crank here is right down here, so I'm just going to line this up. And slides right in, no problem. Next, I got to put this little spacer looking thing, I don't know what it's called, but it has to go on next. I also have a little key in there, again for timing purposes. I want everything to line up. All good. Here's your crank pulley bolt, and this is going to need to be torqued down to 130 foot-pounds. Again, 130 foot-pounds crank pulley bolt. Just going to thread that in there, and then I'm going to just set my torque wrench to 130 foot-pounds. Alright, so what you're going to want to do next is get this crank pulley holder. This prevents the crank from turning as you're trying to torque down the crank pulley bolt. You're going to want to slide this in here like that. Grab a 1/2 inch drive, slide it in here. That'll lock in. Now you're going to want to hold this drive here as you're torquing down with your torque wrench. Now I got my torque wrench set to 130 foot-pounds. Alright, quick note. I highly recommend you get at least somebody to help you, because this is pretty tough to get it to 130 foot-pounds with just by myself holding this end and then trying to torque down with this one at the same time. It's pretty difficult. Alright, so I'm pretty much just tapping out here. I wasn't able to get this to 130 foot-pounds. So I'm just going to end the video here. And I'm going to do a separate video on how to install the water pump in a little bit. So again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, guys, peace out.